And I'm John P. Welcome back. We've got more Talk Mobile 2013 coverage.
I'm having fun.
You know what else you do when you have round table, when you get a group of people together?
Beer?
Beer. I don't think anybody complain about that. But you also have interventions.
Yes.
And we need an intervention with these carriers.
Or do we? That's the question today.
I would argue we do.
Okay.
How about you guys?
We do. I mean, so I'm going to give Phil a bit of a hard time here. So 2007, the iPhone came out, and Apple managed to totally disintermediate the carriers. You get updates instantly. They were not allowed to put any apps on the thing. They couldn't even have logos on the front of it. And, you know, it looked like that was a trend. And then Google goes and gives them this fantastic, powerful operating system that they can totally do anything they want with. NASCAR apps, 8 logos on the front of the thing. You can have, Verizon tell them whatever. You gave them power back.
We did nothing. It was Microsoft, actually, if you stop and think about it, because Windows Mobile was that land before. You had the same crap on those
But no
phones.
one wanted to use it.
Well, that was the problem. Now everybody wants to use Android.
Yeah.
And the carriers say, all right, we can do all this cool stuff with it. But you know what? That's what Android was designed to do, for better or for worse.
We wouldn't have this conversation today if companies like Blackberry and Palm didn't pave the way for smartphones up from dumb feature phones. And look, we've all been ripping on carriers all week, but you also have to think of them as marketing partners for the manufacturers. You know, still Apple's building a phone, it's HTCs and Samsungs and Nokias and Blackberries who build phones. And they're marketed differently than when you go buy a new toaster at the local store.
In all fairness, though, I don't have a problem with preloading of apps as one example of an intervention topic. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. They've been doing that long before phones. They've been doing it since PCs and laptops.
Yeah.
But there's one very big difference. If I buy a laptop and it comes with McAfee antivirus installed, I can uninstall it.
Or you could buy a Mac.
Why can't I do that? Why can't I do that on my phone?
You can on Windows Phone. Windows Phone has that. So you can only have 5, and they have to be uninstallable. They also can't be trialware. They have to be the full-featured app.
When Verizon gets, or AT&T or whoever, gets a hold of an Android phone, it's their phone now. It might be made by Samsung.
They own the Droid, right?
Right. The code, because the code base, anybody can download. Anybody can do anything with it. Google theoretically could step in and say, all right, if you want to pass the CTS, the compatibility testing that lets you have the Google services, you got to stop this. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But that said, you've got to get companies like Sprint credit for really dialing back how they've been doing that.
BlackBerry would never have grown through the years like it did if they didn't have the support from carriers globally. But then there's been phones like the Blackberry Storm, the first touchscreen BlackBerry when Verizon didn't have an iPhone because they did an exclusive thing with AT&T. Verizon needed a phone. There was no Android at the time. There was no Windows Phone. I guess you would add Windows Mobile. And BlackBerry was the company to do it. And it was literally Verizon who wanted BlackBerry to build a phone that arguably, in my opinion, they didn't want to build at the time.
Should we move away from exclusivity?
I think we are. And the big difference now is to compete at a stage globally, you need phones to hit all carriers.
The whole Apple model, it's brilliant, it's good for consumers, it's also the exception. Now, Samsung has gotten so big that they can do it too. I mean, It's amazing with the Galaxy S4. It's launching on 4 carriers here in the US within like a week.
3 and 4 regionals, and that's just here in the States.
I mean, but that's, once again, that's because Samsung has a product that's so hot that they can do that. Nokia is still in a rebound phase, and they can't, so they have to go into these exclusive deals with carriers. I personally don't like it, but I also understand their position. When they go into these agreements, it's not just them giving the phone to the carrier. The carrier is going, fine, we're going to put it front and center in our store. We're going to do commercials for it. We're going to tell our salespeople, push that phone. That's something when an OEM is growing and needs to get product out there and can't say no. That's something they can't resist.
How do we get the phones we want on the carriers we want them on?
Sadly, you don't. I mean, like even Samsung, super powerful company. Why are there 2 different chipsets? Because it takes longer to get one chipset certified. Why, still can't we get fast updates on a lot of these phones? Because carriers want so many weeks to update. They are still the bottleneck. Everything has to go through them because they own the networks.
And in North America, you're still a little hamstrung by CDMA technology.
Right.
When the rest of the world is using GSM, Verizon, and Sprint still have to support CDMA, and they're going to have to for a long time.
I just feel like it has to evolve over time, right? I think what happened for years was it was literally, look at the adoption of smartphones. It's a slow process those early years. The carriers are working with the manufacturers hand in hand to create demand in the public. And all of a sudden, we're the ones who are outpacing the carriers.
What do you guys think about all of this? What do you hope for in the future with your carriers? Let us know by leaving a comment below.
See you later. Bye.
Save us.